We have one person who's doing an internet reset, the person from Inksurance who disconnected, fixing their internet, giving them a minute for that.
Regular Boa? Thank you, Joria. Really appreciate it. Once again, we're going to try to get this underway. Apologies for the delay. Just, rules are rules. You got to make sure
rules are rules,
everything is within the fine print.
Because incredibly unlikely someone would do this on purpose, especially on a stream that is live. But having somebody look at a team comp, go, this is terrible, we're going to get creamed, let's have someone disconnect so we can switch our comps. It's a possibility in some streams. And that did not happen. We had person disconnect from one team and somebody from the other team switched weapons, if I am correct. And the odds
that makes this even more complicated.
Almost entirely possible that they just did not know the rule. And is
so we're going to be moving into technically the fourth game.
That's a big cat.
Okay, we've got everybody in the lobby again now.
EQ, your cat is huge.
Yes, he is. This is Suede. Suede has decided I'm not giving him enough attention.
What's his name?
Suede.
Suede? Okay.
Yes, suede, like the fabric.
Aw.
We're still on game 2, but it's our 4th game, so hopefully we can get through this.
Hopefully everything will work out. But right now, let's just make Rainmaker at Sturgeon into an amazing game and get this going.
This might be my end, but the match won't start for me.
The match hasn't started yet. Okay, we have 4 players on each team to start off with.
And finally, we have the right comps. This is going to be the 3rd time.
2 people with Object Shredder on Insurance Agency side. I did not notice that before, but I did not.
Oh, we have a DC already.
Oh, Loxhart again?
That's
no, it's Insurance Agency.
It's been them both times.
I don't even know what's going on anymore. But it looks like
that was Fox 99.
They're still trying to go for it, and they're doing a fairly good job at controlling this.
Well, let's see how this turns out. Insurance has done some good pushes in the past. We've got a full-on fight going on. Rose versus that Sploosh.
You can see they're trying to counter push, and this might be where they take the lead. And the Ray comes out. We saw last match that Ray was a problem for Loxhart.
But the Ray is a big problem for Loxhart. Well, it wasn't a knockout, and on this map you can go either way very quickly. Nice double with that hammer.
Amazing hammer. Very clean.
I want to hammer.
You can see they're going to try to go back for it, but it's hard when you have 3, especially after you lose your junior. But you see their comp, they still have a good amount of paint on their team, even without that junior.
Sploosh
they have most of the map painted orange.
Sploosh can make up for a lot of map paint when you lose with a junior. We have Dooley's another great painter. They've got a lot of aggression going on. They lost their defense, but they've still got the aggression.
It's just they're not organized again. That's the problem.
That is continually the problem with these 2 teams. They can put together some great pushes. They've got great comps. They've got great ideas. Loxhart has a number advantage now, but
see the Ray coming out. The Insurance Agency. This might fall even longer.
And they're gonna
try the pick, but no one's gonna go down.
Certainly caused enough damage to make that pick happen. Loxhart down 2. Insurance still has a chance at this one.
You see, they're trying to pop that shield. It's just, again, there's not really... They're not acting as a team. They're acting as individual players. They all seem to have different goals in mind. We see Loxhart, they are coming together. They're trying to make a push. But they're going to go 2 down here.
2 down as soon as... Oh, that was a...
Just like that in the Ray once again.
Brilliant double on that Splatling. Are they going for... They got 3. Delayed wipe, they're up.
There's not being a problem. Now this can be it. Loxhart can take it here.
Loxhart could take it, but not with that splat bomb.
Not with the splat bombs.
And out comes the hammer again, getting...
See, it's just, they're kind of at an impasse here. They're trying to get out, but they can't.
Kind of interesting that they have the sploosh picking up the Rainmaker all the time. Like that they're doing it, splooshes. The splooshes are such a short-range weapon, but they're also really good at...
And it's the most mobility.
Nice Rainmaker.
Oh, you see, they're alone now.
Alone.
That's the problem.
They're alone with the timer ticking down. They're marked by Rainmaker and missiles, but only Rose opposing it, it looks like. They held on.
You see, they're not going for it. They were alone and they didn't go for it.
They,
But their Rainmaker is going to explode if they don't do something soon.
nope. They're not doing anything. They're just hanging on. Going. They want.
They have to go for it now
They
or
want to be
reset.
up, they seem to want to be up 2 people before they do anything. And when they're already down, when you're permanently down 1, you're gonna have problems with that. And the Rainmaker's gonna explode. Only took out the carrier at least. Kind of worried with the way they were grouping it up that the Rainmaker was gonna take out multiple people.
Yeah, you see, they still have all their teammates alive, and we see a lot of kills coming out from Inksurance agency. The Ray, again, that can end it, but they go down to the Booyah.
They go down to the Booyah Bomb. Less than a minute left. This match has absolutely flown by. Loxhart's got the pop.
There's only 30 seconds left.
Insurance is trying to hold off, they're pushing with it.
We can't call it yet, though, because Rainmaker can just switch in an instant.
Rainmaker dies, we can't call it. And they certainly have the range to hit him if they really want it. If they get a chance.
And the bombs. Don't forget the bomb.
Bomb, Stingray. They lost.
Just as the last second. This is their only chance,
Insurance, here's your chance. Good. Oh!
Look at the hammer getting the
Oh, that hammer!
They need to grab it. Now they have to go. They're just waiting.
And they did.
There's 3 down on the side of Loxhart. We could see it flip here.
We could see a flip.
Oh, but the Rainmaker's alone.
But the Rainmaker's... Oh. All right, Loxhart. You got it.
See, that's the problem here. They just waited for someone else to grab it. They waited for the sploosh to go for it. That was... They just stood around. You can't do that here, especially in overtime.
They have their set ideas of who's supposed to carry the Rainmaker, and they weren't deviating from it. And sometimes
that's admirable, but in Rainmaker you can't do that sometimes.
Sometimes you can't do that, especially with a DC. With a DC, you have to do what you can when you can. All right.
Definitely, like with the DC specifically, that happens in those situations. Roll, like specifically weapon rolls are multi at that point. Every single player needs to perform not just their own weapon rolls, but also the role that has not been filled. At that point, they were missing a full support, which most of the time they put the support on grabbing the Rainmaker.
And Rainmaker especially, you have to be flexible. I was only with a low-level team for a while, but it was understood. We had our Rainmaker carry, we had our backup, and we also had grab it and go under these circumstances. They don't seem to have considered the grab it and go circumstance.
There's a point where that has to be one of the more considered options. And like you said, there's disorganization and everything, but it was very, very, very difficult because, you know, you're a man down. You only have one person. You got a specific plan. You're not really adapting on the fly specifically to now your new, what I'm going to call a handicap that you have to deal with.
They did very offensively in that they had the DC pretty much immediately, and no, they did not have any, but they did not get knocked out. They had a couple decent pushes. They had overtime. They had a lot of different opportunities there that could have happened.
They needed, basically, what they needed is, like, yeah, the designated Rainmaker carrier can do something. And that, like, that triple, like you said, when they got that wipe, that was super important. And that could have been something big. But that would only be if they set up beforehand.
And they haven't talking in the team captain's chat involving the DCs. I don't know if they're planning to sub somebody in or if they're hoping to see Mod come on back and hopefully fix their internet this time.
I wouldn't be
And see,
surprised to
here's
see
the
a
problem that
sub.
I noticed. Oh, sorry.
No, you first.
Okay, so what I noticed is at the end, they had the perfect opportunity to push up. And I think it's great they're going with a specific plan to counteract their disconnect, but Rainmaker is not a planned mode. If anything, this is the mode where you have to be flexible. You have to have different people grabbing the Rainmaker. You can't dedicate your sploosh, your frontline Slayer, to picking it up. Because we saw their sploosh was doing some real carnage, especially with their special. And if you pick up the Rainmaker with that, you can't really push effectively, and that's their deficit.
If you force that Sploosh basically to take up that to take up the Rainmaker role, they can't really get that special. That special, especially like in a 3v4, can be absolutely devastating in the right hand. That can win and make game.
I think that they would have been better off if they had someone other than the Sploosh carry the Rainmaker, because that Sploosh was devastating with the hammer and with general picks. Very short range weapon, but in the right hands can be absolutely lethal, and I don't think they were used to carrying the Rainmaker.
Honestly, no, me neither, but I mean, we saw they were making some progress, but it's not enough, especially if you lost a member. If they didn't have the one down, I assume their junior would be the one carrying it, and we would probably have saw a knockout from Inksurance Agency with that hammer. But if you lose your junior, your dedicated Rainmaker carrier, at least what I would expect from them, it makes it so much harder because you've lost that Slayer.
One of the members in the other team is asking if somebody else could possibly host.
If somebody else could possibly host, do they think that's the issue here?
Yeah, that's what they think.
All right, Lumi, if you want to make the lobby and I join, do they think that would work better?
I'll go ahead and do that if they so wish.
All right, then, because I am willing to do that if they think that will solve the disconnection problem.
Yeah, I'm about to say, go ahead and talk to the captain's chat, make sure they got everything under control, because tell them that we're going to be switching up the lobby.
All right, I'll make a room immediately as soon as I can.
Okay. Mm-hmm. As I scroll through and go, wow, they're...
Make sure to tell the password in that chat. It's probably going to be the same one that we used, correct?
It will be.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, they should be able to join through me as soon as the room opens.
Once again, guys, really sorry for the delay. A lot of internet issues. We already had the crazy issue of the winter storm that went and basically took out half of Texas.
Yeah. All right, lobby's open. Lumi, since you're hosting now, you'll be in charge of setting up what game, map, and mode we're on.
Yeah, I'm just getting some people added right now so we can get our teams in here.
Yeah, okay. The next one is Skipper Zones, correct?
Thank you for getting off my mouse, cat.
Your cat's a blob.
I can't argue with that. He is absolutely a blob. So
he is a big, beautiful blob.
Is indeed up next. He is a blob, and he is being a menace and in my way all the time because that's what he does.
He's needy. Is that the best way to describe it?
Clearly, I've been on the computer too long and haven't paid him enough attention. That's what's going on.
Oh. Jeez.
Maximum mode we need next. Skipper Pavilion Splat Zone. Looks like that's set. And we finally get to see something different. I am so happy. We are going to see. We're 1-1.
Finally.
We're going to a game 4. I don't know who's going to win Skipper Zones. We have seen some great plays from both sides, especially if we don't have a DC.
Especially. I hope we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we don't
About to
see
say
any more
that-
DCs all night. Because this has already gotten a little...
That would be very nice.
And instead we just see some very nice plays, some tight fights. Skipper Zones, what specials do you think are the best ones to have on this map?
Kazi, I'll go ahead and let you answer first.
Me answer first. Well, of course, everybody knows having any sort of specific armor is very, very effective, especially at low level. At low level, a lot of teams like to use specific armor as a little bit of a crutch in order to kind of get those pushes in order to kind of keep that sustenance, because that's kind of what it is when it comes down to lower level. Because whenever time you use an armor, especially what I heard from my coach, every single time when you use armor, you basically are at that point, everyone's a front line.
Everyone's front line.
Now, I think, yes, armor is going to be very useful here, especially in such a tight map and 2 areas of conflict. The armor is going to be great to support those 2 pairs if we see them pairing. But I'm also hoping that we see maybe Ink Storms coming out, because
I can 100% agree with that. Because of the way that the zone is, it's like this very long rectangle. You can simply chunk one Ink Storm and it takes care of the entire thing.
And I think we're going to see Booyah Bombs. Just realistically, we've seen that coming out on these comps, but Booyah can be pretty useful here. It's just one of those more versatile specials for zones. We're probably going to see some Booyahs coming out.
Yeah. There's very little Booyah can do, especially this day and age. On a map like this, the abuse of Booyah on maps like fudging Pump Track, Humpback Pump Track is uncanny. However, a little bit like Humpback Pump Track, you can use 2 Booyahs to literally cover 2 halves of the zone and immediately paint it.
I did not know that about Skipper Zones. I did not know that it was a double Booyah covering map. So that one, if that's the case, then Inksurance Agency, they've shown a lot of really good synergy with their specials. They may put out at least 1 Booyah, maybe double Booyah.
You can kind of use it from anywhere. Bomb Rush, Suction Bomb Rush can be very, very good here. However, it's very, unless you understand the trajectory of where your bombs are going, it's very difficult to literally nail that middle section unless you're already set up.
Most of the time, I play Sploosh 7.
So we're just waiting to get the sub in. We have confirmed that there's going to be a sub for Inksurance Agency, so hopefully we don't see any more disconnects, and we'll get to do these next couple of games.
Yep. Hopefully that'll take care of all of the issues, and we'll get through our first set of the day.
Once again, guys, thank you for sticking with us.
I'm sick of it now. We've seen 3 games. It's been half an hour of Rainmaker. That's quite enough.
That really
Guess what? There's more Rainmaker coming up.
Unfortunately.
That really describes my whole Rainmaker experience lately.
Yeah.
I've reached 3 cracks in solo queue about 5 times in a row now.
You can have an amazing power in Rainmaker and then just have it legitimately go down the toilet with one person who just decides, I don't want to pick it up. And then everybody on your team just kind of wait, I don't want to pick it up either, and they're just in the base trying to
or alternatively, that one person who picks it up who really just should not pick it up. No, I'm serious. There was a game where every single time the Rainmaker popped, if they were close enough to grab it, they would grab it. It didn't matter what was going on. We were down 3 people and they were the last alive. I will grab that Rainmaker in the middle of all 3 other people.
Oh, jeez.
They had
the problem with Rainmaker
there was an entire Booyah bomb going off in the center of it. I will grab that Booyah.
Yeah. What was that, Trey?
The problem with Rainmaker is that if you have the wrong person pick it up, you're switching your team comp, essentially. if you have a Slayer pick up Rainmaker, now you have an Anchor, or you have like it changes your comp. And that's why it's hard to adapt to.
The roles have to rotate.
Exactly. That's why it's one of the most difficult maps and modes. All right, so we have everyone in the lobby. We're going to get started finally with our game 3.
Woohoo!
Congrats.
Game
Skipper Zone.
Skipper Zones.
Right now, 1-1. Loxhart versus Inksurance Agency. So we're going to a game 4. Game 4 is guaranteed.
I still kind of hope we see a game 5. I just hope that we see it because
I hope we do.
I hope we see it because both teams are neck and neck, kicking each other's butts from here to, I'll say from here to Inkopolis and back again.
And now you see Inksurance Agency dominated that. Well, I wouldn't say dominated, but they did a very good job in that first game. And now with the sub, it's going to be a little harder for them to come together and take these wins back. So I'm not sure what we're going to see here. They could be a little down after the loss, but at the same time, we could see complacency coming from the other team. So it's going to really depend how they come together and they treat this match.
Another thing
I feel like it's going to depend a bit more on mechanical skill this time around, specifically for Inksurance Agency. If their mechanical skill can kind of shine out, because synergizing with, it's not saying like it's impossible to do it with the sub, but I'm saying in that case, your skills have got to back you up just a little bit.
Another thing that we may need to consider is a lot of teams have modes they are particularly good and particularly bad at. Inksurance, if they are particularly good at Clam Blitz in comparison to Rainmaker, that could have inflated things a fair bit. I have no idea how they're going to do at Splat Zones. But we're going to find out in a few seconds.
No, it's going to be about sustenance. You know, you got to play, you got to understand the clock, play the clock to your advantage. Make sure you set up correctly, and we're going to see what happens.
The 1v1s are especially important here with all of the conflict.
All right,
100%.
we've got Loxhart in green, Inksurance in purple, and they are off.
Now, take a look at these comps. I mean, you see from Loxhart, we have a double backline comp, essentially. Now, they can, maybe the remix can flex a little Slayer, but they have more of a defensive comp.
I'm more looking that we've got heavy remixes on both sides. They both thought about that Booyah Bomb and the distance.
A brilliant bomb from CBS, and you see Inksurance Agency doing a good job of holding down the zone.
Loxhart, Alex is using that Brella very well, trying to get.
But they're not really pushing up. They're just
not
painting.
really pushing up. They're just holding. There we go. As soon as we said it, there went the push, but not enough to hang on
to those areas to push it.
A penalty.
See how they all went to the bottom on the side of Loxhart.
Nope, stuck up through the.
There we go, 3 down, the Inksurance Agency.
Nice pick on Rose's end. Rose is trying for some more picks. Double back line. They've got the zone, and they're using the back line to try to keep people at bay, at least at the bottom, while the other people are at the top. It might work. There's a lot of different ways to play this.
Now, you see, not many things are pushing in the top.
With 2 approaches, another nice pick from Rose. With 2 approaches, they can control how things are dealt with, but at the same time, they can really focus their attacks. 2 down on the side of Loxhart. Inksurance only up behind. And
the Loxhart is struggling to really just find their teammates and get the push that they need.
That may be the case, but they've also got the lead now. For how long, I don't know.
See, they're getting the picks that they need. Inksurance Agency is really doing a good job of just controlling the zone, but they're not pushing up much.
Loxhart down 2 at the moment. So much for that. That's a lead change.
We're probably going to see a lot of that throughout the set, though. We've seen that happen, especially in the first game, too.
Timer's ticking on down. They've got it below 30. Are they going to lose it to the bomb rush?
It looks like they flipped it.
Loxhart's got it again. Ah, nice trade.
Now, both these teams, they're not being very aggressive. They're kind of just feeling each other out and trying to hit the paint on the zone.
there doesn't seem to be much special coordination on either side, and there's a lot of trading going on with those Splatlings. Splatlings on both sides.
Definitely, lots of trade.
Splatlings on both sides seem to take someone out and go down immediately.
The fun fact, both teams have the same amount of kills right now, so not really seeing much of an advantage from either side. They're both just constantly trading, constantly flipping back and forth. It's just, no one's really dominating. And that's what makes this set even more exciting, because who knows what could happen next.
I sure don't. Loxhart's almost...
They're trying to make a push from top mid, but Loxhart's still holding it down.
Oh, they got like 2 points off that penalty. Not enough to make a difference yet. They've got a Booyah incoming. But they did not manage to get zone 2 specials. Booyah, Bomb Rush, canceled out by the other Booyah. Inksurance is hanging on to zone with all the force they can muster.
Now, all of the paint coming out from Inksurance Agency is paying off here. They have a very, very heavy paint comp. I mean, they have the Junior, the Splash, the CDS, and the Remix with so much paint. And that's how they're flipping this.
Oh, yeah. Loxhart did some nice special coordination there. Finally, we got the zone.
See, they're finally coming together. They're trying to find those picks. They're doing a good job.
1 minute left, less than that. Not much of a lead between either team. 20 points, that's nothing, and the Loxhart's already picking down on it. Booyah Bomb could make a difference on either side, since both sides have Booyah coming out. They both have so much.
Oh, they're so close to taking it.
And they got it. Still not much of a lead, but they want to take it. They're going to have to go into overtime, it looks like right now. 30 seconds left.
Now, this is essentially their last chance to really get it back. And if they go in a great shot to the timer, they could get it.
If they lose it before the time runs out, then they have a lot harder push to get past that.
They might see it. They might get it here.
Then we've got a lead change. Loxhart is in the lead again now. 5.
They have to put it now or it's over.
Inksurance has got to hang on to it. Inksurance has quite a task in front of them. They've got to hang on to it.
That's a wipe on the side of Loxhart.
Oh, that's Inksurance.
And look, they have 3 specials.
They've got 3 specials. They've got armor. They've got Booyah. They can hold on to it, and they last long enough. Still have
they can do it.
Got through their penalty. They got through their penalty. Other Booyah. They've got through their penalty, but they've got to get this zone back. And both sides are working really. They got the zone back. 7, 16, 15, 14, and it's lead change.
Again, we see they flip it
Right
back and
at the
forth.
end
Both
for
ways.
Inksurance Agency.
That was a great game.
That was a
3,
great game
honestly.
3. That was a great game. We saw so many lead changes. We saw both sides really pushing hard, working to get stuff. I'm impressed with both teams.
That was interesting.
Definitely
was interesting. I think one of the interesting things to point out is that there was, you pointed it out at the very beginning, that double backline sort of comp at the very beginning for Loxhart, and that almost worked. The problem specifically is that if you get wiped and you're trying to come in with double backline, it is so much more difficult because you're relying on getting those picks, on getting that setup fast, and it's so difficult to do.
Getting our next match set up, like yes, absolutely. I think their comp, it was a great idea. I mean, you saw it was working out for them, but the wipe that ruined it. I didn't see them coming back from it.
If they hadn't been wiped like that, they still almost got it back. They came so close to getting it back. It was almost painful going. They had this close, and they fought so hard for it, and they lost it at the last second, and that has happened several times to both of these teams, I think, at this point, where they've had the lead by a narrow margin, and they've lost it, and they've gotten back, and they've lost it.
That's happened every match so far. Even in game 2, we saw that it was going back and forth.
We saw that a lot. We saw that a lot of time in game 2 and game 2 and game 2. We saw that. We saw that happen when
game 2 times 3.
Game 2.3.
Yeah, sure. But this is going to be very interesting because the next map is Piranha Pit Tower Control. Now, judging from the comps and from everything that you've seen from these teams, which team do you think should have the advantage here?
Honestly, I mean, I think Loxhart might have an advantage here. You see, they do play a little more defensively. And Tower Control is one of those like modes where the defense can pay off, definitely more than other modes.
Yeah.
Defense can win you the game, essentially.
I think it's going
100%.
to depend. I think it's going to depend on who on each team is riding the tower, because the tower rider
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you see
on
they
their back,
switch it up.
and you can have multiple tower riders. You can have one almost designated tower rider. You can have people who you do not want on the tower for love or money. You could have people who you
Gotcha.
want tower no matter what, just because there are so many different things you can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
We will see
What
how they do
specials
it now.
do you expect to see specifically? I'm expecting to see definitely a Booyah.
Booyah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a Ray.
Booyah Ray. Tentamissiles here, where everything is so crammed together, tend to be really useful.
Yeah.
All right, Loxhart in the green, Inksurance in.
Now, these are some interesting comps. You see, they're running two. They have Booyah bombs on each side. They both have Ink Storm, and we don't see any missiles as I predicted. But I mean, their comps are a little more orthodox. But I mean, you see Insurance Agency already 2 down, and Loxhart's going to get that starting push.
Rose taking a nice pick there. We've got a fair bit of fighting as they approach the first checkpoint, chasing them off the map. The first checkpoint has some very nice spots for chargers and Splatlings to just hang out by and get good shots. Honestly, prefer to have a backliner on the tower for that reason, because there are so many spots that are in range of backliners. So hard to defend.
Well, one problem that I think that we're gonna have with Loxhart is their carbon, because you see, Insurance Agency is running a junior, a CDS, and a shot. Those are all, especially the junior, they can paint pretty well, and a carbon needs paint in order to get those kills. And I mean, you see how the map is almost completely covered in paint. The carbon can't do anything. They can't get the picks that they need, and that's really gonna hurt them here.
Already does seem to be hurting them, because Insurance is getting their lead. It looks like the junior's just doing some paint farm and going, we need another armor for that checkpoint. As soon as they get to the armor, they reach the checkpoint. Nicely timed.
Now again, if they get past the second checkpoint, this could be like the lockout phase. And it's hard to really get into that phase at the first point, but when you start, it's pretty easy to just get to the KO. But you see, they stop them right before they get through it.
Yep. And they've got their Splatling on the tower. That could be a great move, because it gives them the range to deal with threats, as they just demonstrated against Insurance there. But it also makes them a walking target, and losing your backline in this map is really dangerous. This is almost a map where I would want a double backline comp, honestly. One person to hang back for defense, one person on the tower. Not a couple.
Yeah, I thought we would see double backline here, but we're not seeing that. And you see, Loxhart, they're about to get it, but they're just having trouble keeping everyone alive.
3, 2, 1. That's a lead change, but no, they did not.
By 1 point, though.
1 point lead. Both teams below 50. 1 point lead. And we are well past the halfway mark of this game. Neither team has gotten past the second checkpoint.
You see, the Remix is trying to hold their own, but might just hurt them. But they do get out just in time.
Smart jump out. They were not going to last much longer. They were too exposed.
Especially with their Booyah. That Booyah can stop a push immediately. Although it won't stop it permanently, it can just stop the tower in its tracks.
Throwing a Booyah in overtime is a guaranteed end to overtime. So you cannot.
That's why it's called the GG Booyah.
They've still got that Booyah in reserve.
See, they're being a little smarter with how they play this match. Insurance Agency, they're holding that Booyah for just their last-ditch effort when they surely need it, and that's a good play on their part.
I'm going to say they'll pick out that Booyah as soon as somebody hits the second checkpoint, and no sooner. They want to keep people...
Definitely. Once they see that, they're going to pop it.
If it's them at
but you see, they're going to have counter-push here.
If they reach second checkpoint, they'll throw it to keep. For defense, or for offense, they'll throw it to get ahead. If they don't get second checkpoint, if the other team gets it, then they'll throw it to keep them from getting the lead. think that's it.
The Loxhart, they're going back at it, and they don't have their Booyah anymore, but I mean, still, they're having trouble getting that push. Loxhart they have the armor coming out. That can really be useful, but it's only useful if you make it useful.
They may not need the push. That's the thing. Loxhart has that 1 point lead. That's not a safe measure by any count, but it is certainly enough to win, and that might be all they need right now. So we're down below a minute. 50 seconds on the clock.
We saw last match, they were able to turn it around.
Both teams are fierce going. We need to do something. Specials coming out. We've got Inkjet. We've got.
Now, I'm not sure if it's on your end either, but I'm seeing a little bit of lag from Loxhart CDS. But all right, you see the Booyah is just gonna stop it right there.
Yep.
And that's the problem with Booyah on tower. It just stops it immediately. It's the GG Booyah.
The problem and the wonderful part if you're the one throwing it.
Now we might see a game 5 here if they can hold it down, but Inksurance Agency going for the picks.
They've got.
You see, the junior's gotten 2 kills already. For a junior, that's pretty good. And this is their last chance once again. Overtime for Inksurance Agency, but they go down in the CDS.
And they're still. There we go. That's game. We're going to a game 5.
Didn't think we would see it in the first match, but this is game 5, and this is going to determine who gets their first win of the season.
This is the matchup that won't end. This is the matchup that won't end, and I love it.
10 armors coming out from Inksurance Agency.
That is downright impressive. Macomart
But if you have all those armors and you don't do anything with it, it's a waste.
Yeah.
That's true. They had some well-timed armors. I noted that they got one right before hitting the second checkpoint, which helped a little bit.
Ink armor alone isn't a special that's going to win you the game. It's not a special that you use to stop anything. Ink armor is only good if you make it good, and you have to rely on the Slayers to make it a good special. Mm-hmm. And they weren't really doing anything with their armors. They were just popping it, and then they wouldn't do anything certainly impressive. So we're going to be moving into our last match here. Clam Blitz on, I believe, Macomart.
Yep, Clam Blitz on Mako. This is going to be very interesting, judging from both teams. I feel like Inksurance Agency might have the advantage when it comes to aggression. But then again, that also could be possibly wrong because one of them apparently, like one of the players in Loxhart does play Carbon. If they can give that enough pain for that Carbon to chew on, that Carbon's going to be lethal on a map like that.
Inksurance absolutely dominated in that first Clam Blitz match, but it's hard to say if that's because of the area.
Yeah.
Because Macomart is set up incredibly differently from Wahoo World. There's a lot
Definitely. I have a love-hate relationship with this.
You have a love-hate relationship. I think everyone has a love-hate relationship with clams in general, but there's a lot of different ways you approach it that are very different from Wahoo World. I wouldn't be surprised. We might see the same comps, but if they pull out entirely different comps, that also wouldn't surprise me. Because for Macomart clams, I feel like at Wahoo World, if you have control of the middle, it's very easy to just get control of the middle again. You don't need that much paint. Whereas Macomart, spread out with all of those approaches, all of those little nooks and pennies, you need more paint.
See, now, in my opinion, I think Macomart's one of the more balanced clam maps, but at the same time, there's so much built on this map. There's so many elevations and steps you have to go through. It makes it hard to get that momentum, and neither of these teams are very good with gaining the momentum. So it's going to really depend on that miracle that we saw in the first match. We might just see it flip like that.
I feel like one of the things that you normally see, like when it comes to, I'd say probably the amateur circuit or probably even the pro circuit, when you take an advantage over on Mako, automatically the enemy team is immediately going to base and is immediately trying to, hit those spawns where they hurt it the most. Because there's, like, if you get picked, it's very easy to get locked out.
Loxhart in green, Inksurance in orange.
We see a blog coming out from Inksurance.
Splatling from both sides. Is there armor on Loxhart? I don't think so. Or if there is, it's not one of the weapons I recognize.
They're both running one armor.
One armor?
But I'm really interested in the blob play, because you don't see that a lot in comp, but it can be very annoying.
I think annoying defines blob. 11 clams on both
That's
sides.
pretty much how you play it. And on a map like this, blob can be extremely... I don't want to just keep using the word annoying, but strategic, to say the least.
Whoa, there's a wipe. And the other
That's a wipe from the
clams.
start.
And they didn't have any clams capped. Oh wait, no, I was looking at the wrong side. They have.
They're trying to get momentum, and that's
They're
the problem
trying,
here.
but
It's
they
hard
don't
to
have.
build it up.
They didn't have enough clams to deal with. They have a small foot, and if they can get everyone else over, they might get a larger one. But they don't have this. No, they might do the booyah. They might.
You see, as Kazi said, they're all backed up in base trying to stay safe, because in this map, there's nowhere you can really go to be, like, pressuring, but also staying safe. So they have to just play it, like, on their back.
The remix player got taken out before it got off. The remix player got taken out before it could take that booyah bomb. And if they had got that booyah bomb out, got the pressure on, they would have made a lot larger push. As it was, just barely got past 70. They're down.
You see a Booyah coming out and an armor.
They've got.
They're going to try to find it here, and they might go for it. They get the clam in, but they do go down.
But they went down, but they've got someone following it up. They've got the armor trying to use that to their advantage. They've still got another power.
This might be it. Oh, they miss.
And they're not going to get that back. They picked up a pity clam immediately. They're positioned there, so I don't think that was accident.
They have 2 power clams, and the specials coming out. They're going to try to go for it.
They've got Booyah coming out. They've got armor.
Ooh, what a brilliant shot.
And rain did not help them enough. They're still down 2. Broke the barrier, keeping their lead, making it a little tiny bit longer.
But they're getting those clams in. That's what matters here. 39 is almost a 30-point deficit.
Inksurance looks like that might be the end of their push. But Inksurance has the lead right now, and it's a pretty good one. But could still be wiped out with 2 power clams. That seems to be about the basis for the average push.
Now their carbon pick is still confusing me. Like, why would you run carbon, at least against this team? They have so much pink. That's the problem. The carbon can't do much. And notice how the map is all orange.
And they've had similar amounts of pink every matchup, so it's not like this could come as a complete surprise. Inksurance looking.
But their carbon, they seem to be handling it well. They've got 8 picks already.
As Inksurance going for another knockout, they've got the clams for it if they can get over there. They're coming.
The Remix is trying to go for it. They might. Oh, that's
one clam
away. They might make it.
They did. That was.
Now, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think anyone really saw that coming.
No, I did not see that coming.
I thought we would see more back and forth and fighting and flipping. Like, it just ended like that.
I thought Inksurance was going to win. They did very well on the first Clams match, but I didn't see a knockout coming. Not like that anyway.
Wow.
Kazi, what do you think happened that match that just gave them that win and that set that they needed?
I feel, well, you know, they had the carbon over on the side of Loxhart, correct? And if you're on a small map, specifically like Mako, especially if you don't have that paint for that carbon that you want, that carbon can't do anything. It's not going to be allowed to do anything. And then, of course, like I said, you got this organization of a bit lower level. And that allows for a lot more holes in defenses than you really think are there. So any little bit of disorganization, especially at the lower level, can instantly lead to max punishes if played correctly. I feel like, I remember you were talking about it last time, the armors weren't really doing it for Insurance Agency because it's just kind of like they were using it and they weren't really getting much out of it. They were just kind of like using it just to use it. And this time specifically, because they did this, remember, they did this in Mako. You could tell because they started immediately that push on Mako. with that booyah, and they immediately set up and they immediately pushed in. There was no hesitation. There was none. Let's wait. Let's go. It was more of, we've got what we need. Let's put this in now and let's put this to bed.
They just
I
jumped.
think that was. I didn't expect that, but yeah, they did have the advantage there. They seemed to just clam after clam, just whittle it down even more, and they did it. And I wasn't seeing that coming.
Pain control, mate.
I feel
really
as though,
does something, especially on a map like Mako, because when you lower the amount of pass that you can take for the enemy team in Mako, it is very difficult to get anywhere.
I feel like even though they hung back a bit more than we as commentators were expecting, I was looking for a lot more aggression from Glamblitz, but it worked out for them against this other team. I'm not sure if it's going to work out for them going forward, or if that's going to be something, because we've commented several times how both teams, for their level, they are good teams. Neither of them is a bad team. Neither of them is quite aggressive enough just yet. They're still hanging back going, is everybody ready in the voice chat before they commit to anything? And doing that, is anybody ready? Can we really go forward on this, or are we going to get immediately knocked out? Is hindering both teams so much. They haven't made pushes with just one person down. We saw that in both Clamblitz matches where they would become a little derailed by just that one person taken out. Or we saw that in Rainmaker where, we don't have enough of a numbers advantage, or we don't have the right person to grab the Rainmaker. They start pushing themselves. Something I would both those teams is I would